No matter what I do, I'm no good without you. And I can't get enough. Must be love on the brain. I can't even take myself seriously trying to
Jesus
sing that
Christ.
song. That's really bad. I'm so sorry that you guys. I'm sorry about everything. I'm sorry that you guys have to listen to that. But I mean, that's what it is. That's the song for
Dude,
the
you need to up your
podcast
game a little
episode.
bit. You're starting to slack.
I mean, I feel like I'm just never gonna get better.
What are you talking about?
I'm just not a very good singer.
Tori, we all know that's not true. We know that you're
You're
the
right.
best singer on this entire earth. But right
You're
now, you're
right.
just not at your best. That's all.
You're right. You're right. You know what? It's late at night. It's like 8:30.
8:30 is late at
You
night.
know, it's late for me. You know what I'm saying? It's a late day. I've had, a pretty sad
You've had
day,
a sad
so,
day.
I mean, it's not really been a sad day. I'm just like I'm feeling the feels today.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about it in the weekly report.
Yes, but before that, hello everyone and welcome back to episode 9.
Yes.
Yeah, we literally had a whole conversation about which episode this is, and I still forgot. But this, but this is episode 9, and we are talking about what are we talking about, Judicorn?
Toxic relationships.
Yes, and this is going to encompass romantic relationships, relationship with your friends and family. So not just romantic, but all of it.
Any parasite you have in your life, we're here to get rid of them today.
Oh yes, oh yes. So let's jump into the weekly report.
Yeah, Tori, you go first this time.
Okay, so this week has been a little bit different from my weeks because obviously I mentioned last time that I go to the gym, I go to Barnes and Noble, life is good. However, this week was a little bit different. I may or may not have reconnected with an old flame that immediately fizzled out because I realized I just am not interested. You know what I mean? Like, you ever go to do something with someone and you're like, yes, this is gonna happen, I'm gonna have a good time. And then you get around that person and you're like, why am I here? I don't like you.
It's
You know?
because you have this I guess this past memory of what you used to feel, and so you think you're gonna feel the same way when you see them again. You just don't. It's just not the same. So
Exactly.
it's like an expectation
Yes,
for it to
exactly.
match how
So
you once felt, but it's no longer.
yeah, exactly. And so that was my week, and then today's Friday at the time of this recording. Yesterday was Thursday, and my brother and I saw the Joker film, which he thought was okay. I thought it was excellent, especially once I went home and I thought about it a little bit more, but I thought it was quite good.
Wait, the Joker film's out now?
Yeah, girl, it came out today.
Dude, what the
Well, technically, it
fuck?
came out last night because movies open up Thursday nights, but
Uh-huh.
then, it plays everywhere on Fridays.
Okay, well, I guess I'm taking myself on a date this Sunday to go see that bitch.
There you go.
Cause
There you go. It's
I need to see that movie.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of slow in the beginning, but when it picks up and people who I've seen don't like it, I think are people that aren't interested in slow movies that really tell a story. So if you're not into those movies that are slow, they really build and they have a really deep meaning. And if you're one of those people that just likes to turn their brains off and you go to see a film, this is definitely not the film for you. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the story or in this movie that causes you to think, and if you're not ready for that kind of story, it's not going
Yeah.
to be the movie that you like. But other than that, so yeah, reconnected with the old flame that fizzled out. We saw the Joker. My dad is away, so I have the house to myself, and I'm gonna throw a party with just me. So that's how my week has been.
Party!
Yes.
No, I guess I'm gonna fly to Texas so I can join this party.
Girl, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be me and more of me. So it's gonna be fun.
Best party in the world.
I know, right? Party of one.
Yeah, but you're the only one that I need.
No.
Oh, that was so cheesy. I cringed. I cringed as I was saying it.
I know,
I was
right?
like, oh.
So, fill us in on your week.
Oh my god, my week. I skipped a lot of my classes this week. Yeah, no,
Nice.
I think I skipped every single one of my classes at least once, except for 2 of my classes. So almost every single one of my classes I skipped at least once this week. And they all meet twice a week, so
Yeah.
that's half of my week that I just skipped. No, I've been stressed
Right.
because I have a group assignment that I thought was supposed to be due this weekend, but it's actually not due until next weekend but none of my group members were getting back to me, so I thought I was going to have to do it by myself, but they just got back to me like yesterday, so thank God for that. But I was stressed because I was like preparing to do this entire project by myself, and then I had a debate that I had to do online on top of my
Right.
regular homework from my online class, and this online class is killing me, okay? Like, it's the death of me. It's so much work. I have to do over 100 pages of reading every single week, and then I have to like listen over an hour of like music and analyze it, talk about it, and talk about the reading, and oh my god, it's so awful. I mean, I like the material, but like it's just hard because a lot of it I feel like I would benefit a lot if this class wasn't online. Like this probably wasn't the best class to take online because it's just something that I feel like it's hard for me to read it and then apply it without
Mm-hmm.
having examples that I can listen to and have someone like break it down for me. But it's a hip hop history class, but right now we're talking about rap
Right.
elements and like we're talking about like percussion effusive and speech effusive and like the different genres and like how they sound, but it's all like very musical technical and I'm like I don't understand any of the jargon. So it's like very confusing for me to actually like know what the hell it's talking about. Other than that, I had a bunch of rehearsals this week. I've been making a lot
Right.
of progress on my piece that I'm choreographing, so that's good. Yeah, I don't know. Like I've been like kind of up and down with my mood. I've just been like randomly crying for no reason. Like I don't know why. And then I've also found out that I've been getting like migraines, which I'm assuming is from like a combination of overexertion, like physically, and like stress and dehydration.
Well, I hope I hope you get your shit together.
I hope I get my shit together too. Oh gosh. But yeah, anyways, that's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, shall we jump into the episode then?
Yeah, actually, I have a quick note before we jump into this
Okay.
episode. I'm drinking wine right now. I'm just forewarning you.
Oh,
I'm drinking our wine, our special one.
our special one.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
delicious.
Shameless plug for this wine. For those of you who may not have discovered this wine, I can't remember the name. It's like Dolce something,
It's
right?
Rosé Dolce, sweet red.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
Roscato, Italia.
That's yeah. That is the wine. They serve it at Olive Garden, so like I feel like people will probably drink it, but like just in case you don't know it, that is the wine. You get it from like Target or whatever, and it's like 10
Yeah.
to 11 to $12, depending on like if it's on sale. It's quite good. Let us jump into the episode. I actually have two different lists. This time the lists are different because last time the list that I had were kind of like the same, but this time the lists are different because one of them is signs that one of them are like 15 signs of a toxic relationship, and the other one is owning your part in a toxic relationship.
Oh, I like this. Okay.
hmm And then it says basically how it's like signs that your behavior is contributing to toxic relationships. So this one is pretty cool because I think that when it says owning your part in a toxic relationship, I think sometimes people are only seeing like the other person's faults and not their own. So I think that's important to hold yourself accountable to when it comes to certain things.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Cause I've like when as you'll kind of figure this out as we talk about it throughout the episode. As much as I've been in toxic relationships where someone's taken advantage of me, I've also contributed a lot to toxic relationships in the past as well, and I've been
Yeah.
toxic myself. So like it's a learning process for all of us.
I want to know in terms of how many toxic relationships have you been in? If you can remember or anything that you consider toxic, just give me like a ballpark number.
God, so many.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. Let's see, significant ones that I can think of. It's like one, two. Um, does this include family?
So let's break it down. So let's do romantic partners, family, and friends,
Okay.
just to give an
So,
idea.
hmm,
So romantic partners, how many would you say? Just give me a number.
none.
Okay. Okay.
As
Family,
I haven't
you're
really had any romantic partners of significance as of yet, which is why. I say none.
Okay. But
Yeah.
family, you've definitely been in some and are currently in them.
Yes. Family is like, yeah.
All of the above.
All of the above. And then friends, I would
Definitely.
say significant ones that I can think of, like maybe like 4 to 5. 3 of them were like really
Okay.
bad, but like guesstimate 4 to 5. There's probably been more than that, but like I cut them out faster than I. There were 3 that I stuck in for a while, for like years. I was friends with them despite how toxic it was, but then like a couple of the other ones I'm thinking about, I just kind of like cut them out as soon as I realized it was toxic, you know? So my filter's gotten better, if that makes sense.
Right. As far as my toxic relationships, I have only been, in terms of romantic partners, I've only been in maybe 2 friendships. I've been in one,
Hmm.
and one of them kind of recently happened. And family, I don't think I have any toxic family. I mean, like a couple of people in my family are kind of garbage, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't really
Right.
directly deal with them. Or maybe we've had like a toxic moment, but they're
Yeah.
not toxic people. You know what I mean? But mostly like with guys, I think is where my toxicness comes in, and a little bit with friends as well. But I'll kind of get into that. I'll keep
Yeah.
names out, obviously,
Yeah.
just in case.
I will just say, even though like as far as like romantic toxic relationships go, the reason I say I have none is because I haven't been in, like I said, any significant romantic relationships to like quantify like I've been in like a toxic relationship yet.
Right.
Hopefully never. But I've had people that I've liked romantically in which I felt like those feelings came from a toxic place, and so I acted toxically. If that I don't know if that makes any sense. Maybe it just sounds
Yeah.
whatever, but
I want to talk a little bit about toxic relationship that I was in, and I feel like it's not really
uh-huh.
toxic. I was just being really stupid in it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you want to classify it as toxic. Maybe once I
Yeah.
explain it, you can tell me like if it was considered toxic or not. I'll try to make it as quick as possible. But so there was this guy and this kid now. I mean, he's not a kid now. Obviously, he's my age. But he has like a girlfriend now, and they have a son together. So he's doing just fine. But anyway, he and I were like quote unquote dating when we were, like middle school.
Right.
And I know middle school sounds so stupid, but like it's for real. And our relationship really consisted of me kind of, dude, when I tell you I was in love with this guy, I'm gonna make sure I don't say his name. But like I was so obsessed. Like anybody that was friends with me during that time could tell you that I was in love with him. And I was so crazy about this person that I didn't see the crazy stuff that was going on. Like I didn't see like the stupid like text messages and stuff like that that I would get, or the like rumors and stuff that I would hear, or if he would say something to me that was like completely blunt and directed, I was just like, well, you don't really mean that. You know what I mean? I was so convinced that like he was the one for me that I dealt with this for a long time. And when I say long time, I didn't really get over it until like I got to high school. So that was like 3 years worth of bullshit. And we weren't together
Uh-huh.
for 3 years. We were together for a couple months, but like I was so like, and I'm glad like I never did anything sexual with him. Like the most sexual thing we did was kiss each other, but like we never did anything other than that. So I'm glad that that never happened. But it was just so crazy to think about how you become so obsessed with a person and you can't see past anything that they do. You're like the sun just rises and sets on them, and they can't do any wrong because you're so convinced that like they'll change or they'll see you differently or whatever. And I was just so obsessed with this guy. And then the second quote unquote relationship that was toxic, I guess, is one that you know about because you met him
Uh-huh.
at our apartment.
Yes. I know.
I don't, I don't know if this is considered toxic. If I mean, I suppose it's all toxic because like it's just not good for me. But this person and I met my senior year of high school, and we kind of were like put together because we had a mutual
Hmm.
friend. Because like she was a friend of mine and she was a friend of his, and then she was like, oh, the two of you, whatever. He was interested in me. I didn't know who he was, and so on and so forth. I mean, we kind of don't talk to each other anymore now, not really. And if we do, it's like so like platonic, sort of. But basically, it's just like, you know, the difference between like the
Yeah.
other guy was like the other guy was just like, I mean, I don't really know if they're any different, to be completely honest, and I'm thinking about it, but this particular person was more, I was only seeing him for what he, or like I was only seeing him the way that I thought that he was versus what he actually is. And I wasn't really taking into
Mm-hmm.
to consideration like my own feelings. I was only worried about his. And I got to the point where I was a completely different person when I was around him. Like I wasn't acting the same way. We're really, I'm not a clingy person at all, especially now. But when me and him were together, quote unquote, I was so clingy, and it was really embarrassing, especially going back and remembering certain things. And I'm not one of those people that keeps text messages. Like I'll keep it for a week and then I'll move on, unless it's something important. I don't get how people can keep messages for like 4 years. Like that doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, he and I mean, I became just so like clingy, as if like, I would not make it without him. And I've talked to you about him a little bit, and I keep going back and forth with my feelings, but in reality, like I know that like I've moved on. But sometimes it's kind of when you start thinking about certain things, or you start having those moments and you're like, oh, maybe, just maybe, just maybe. But now I think that I've seen past all of the BS. I think now I can kind of different, like what's the word?
Differentiate.
That's the word. I can't say that word, so I'm not even gonna try to say it because I don't want to sound stupid. But I can't even do that. I mean, I can do that now with my feelings now that I'm older and I've taken a step back from the situation. And so that was kind of like the only like really toxic like relationships that I've been in. And this is so minor compared to some people who have been in like actual abuse relationships, but that's obviously not this episode because none of us have experienced that kind of relationship. I was about to say yet, but I don't want to
Yeah,
put that in
don't
the word.
say yet.
I don't want,
Jeez.
I want to be like, we haven't experienced that yet.
Oh God.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold
Yeah,
on.
like when I kept saying I haven't had any toxic romantic relationships yet, I was like, not yet. I just mean like I haven't had any. Hopefully, I never have any.
Right. I mean, I think it's so crazy because like I do know people though, and some of them are family who have been in um toxic relationships with guys or girls or whatever, and they have like gotten hit, or they've gotten hit and verbally abused, and to see it happening to like your actual family is the craziest shit because you're looking at it because you're not in the relationship. Obviously, you're only seeing it from the outside, and you're like, girl, why don't you just leave? But it's not like that. And I've had conversations with both of the people that I know in my family who've been in actual really bad toxic relationships where they're getting hit, they're being cussed out or whatever, and they're just like, I can see this is what I get hit with all the time. I can see the good in him. It's there. And I just need to keep working with it, and I'll get there.
Yeah. And
And
like
that
that's yeah, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
finish.
I'm not saying that's the crazy shit that I'm just like, bro, like you got punched in the face, walk out the door. But it's not as simple as what I'm thinking because in my head, I'm like, if I get hit, I'm walking. But in reality, it's like if you've been with this person for a long time, if there's feelings involved, if you have kids or whatever, it might not be as simple as being like, oh, you pushed me, I gotta go.
Yeah, and like when somebody gets attached like that, like when you become really emotionally attached to someone, you want to make excuses for them because you want to be
Yeah.
empathetic and you want to take care of like what they need and put their needs before your own. Like that's just the nature of being in like a real relationship with someone. But like when it's toxic, you have one person taking advantage of that connection and taking advantage of the fact that you're going to put the other person's needs and they're not putting your needs before their own, reciprocating that feeling. So you have an uneven relationship, which leads to like that toxic relationship. And so like that's what's so hard though, is
Yeah.
because like you are like really emotionally invested in this person and you're going to want to remember like for example, like you try to think about like, oh yeah, like they pushed me or they said this really cruel thing to me, but then you try to hold on to all of those good things as well, cuz like they're because it's not black and white. It's not like that's how they always treat you. They have all those moments in between where they're really sweet and they take care of you and they're really kind and that's what you want to hold on to. And like that's why it's so hard for people to get out of that because they're just really attached to this person and like when you're in it, it's so hard to see what it's like from the outside. Even if you know better, like logically speaking, our hearts don't always like, go with the logic in our brain. You know what I mean? So it's like it's so much easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I think that's the crazy part. I don't know if you said this and I completely like missed it, but I'm gonna say it again just in case. But especially if you see that person, because for example, that one particular person that's in my family that has been through a particular problem was like, oh, they're such a good person and they've been through a lot in their life and they've had this problem with their parents and that problem with their parents. They've had this problem, they've had that problem, and it's like I just need to get that person like because they've seen the the struggle I guess that the person has been through,
mhm.
it suddenly overshadows I suppose the thing that they're doing to them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And it does. It makes so much sense like cuz even though like I said I haven't been like in any significant relationships, I guess I can relate to the feeling to where even if somebody's doing something to you that like may hurt you, I guess, or like make you not feel the greatest, like you want to support them because you've seen like the side of them that like it makes you like want to believe in like the good in them if that makes sense. And I think it depends on the
Mm-hmm.
type of person as well. I think certain types of people are more inclined to be influenced by that. So I
Yeah.
think that has a role in it as well, but I think that especially if like you're an empathetic, like caring person and you have like real feelings for somebody and then like the bad stuff kind of starts to jump out at you, we try so hard to ignore it because we want to believe in the better side of them. We want to believe that like that's not how it's always going to be and like we want to believe that we can do something to change it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that goes into it as well other than what I've said, but
I think yeah, of course. And I think it's another thing, something else to add on to it is, especially if you're one of those people who likes to be in relationships and you are like, oh, I just need to, not, no, I don't want to use the word need, but some people have that thought, but it's like you need to be in a relationship, you need to be up under a guy or a girl. And so you're kind of just willing to accept whatever it is. And it's just like, you guys have ever read or watched The Perks of Being a Wallflower, that great, incredible quote that everyone knows. You accept the love you think you deserve, and that's so true. And I think when it comes to these sort of toxic relationships, people kind of feel like, well, I'm just going to accept this because,
mhm.
like you said, you accept the love you think you deserve. But also, if you're thinking to yourself this sort of fear of, well, no one's ever going to love me the way that that person does or did,
Mhm.
so I'm just going to stick with what I know. And I think that can also be kind of a toxic trait within yourself too, not having that self-worth and thinking like, you know what, I have to be with,
Yeah.
you know, guy number one, guy number two, girl number one, whatever, because no one's ever gonna love me the way that they do, or I'm not gonna feel the same way I do about this next person the
Yeah.
way I do about this person because of reasons unknown. So I think that, I mean, there's so much obviously, but
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like the big stuff.
Yeah. And
There's probably stuff we're missing, but
when it comes to toxic relationships, it takes two to tango. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just
yep.
one person being like abusive or whatever. Like, yeah, you have abusive people, but typically, like, you have to allow someone to treat you that way. And it typically boils down to self worth. I think in most cases, nobody who values themselves more than anything is going to let somebody treat them that way. That's not to say that,
Yep.
like, somebody who does let somebody treat them that way is, like, weaker or, like, less significant than somebody who, like, values themselves more. It's just, like, it's so easy for even people who are strong individuals who do have a lot of self-worth, it's easy for us to fall into that trap of not valuing us, like not valuing ourselves as
Yeah.
much as we should. Because like I've seen people who they're very strong and they value themselves so much, but then they like really feel something for someone, and that kind of overshadows the process of them slowly slipping away from that valuing of themselves, because valuing yourself is something that takes work every single day. It's not something that you just gain and then you're like, cool, I'm done for life, like I don't have to work on it, you know what I mean? So like I think they're all susceptible to that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think most toxic relationships, they really boil down to like how much the individuals in that relationship value themselves. And people just express their lack of self-worth in different ways. You have people who express it through being
Yeah.
abusive, and you have people who express it through taking abuse.
I think that's really strong too. And so we talked a little bit about um, toxic relationships with romantic partners. And because we don't really have much experience about romantic partners, we definitely have one about friendships, which can be just as bad. Well, I don't want to
Mhm.
say just as bad because your friends, shit, you might have friends that beat you up. I don't know. But friendships can definitely be, pretty rough in terms of toxic relationships because a friendship is supposed to have your back. You know what I'm saying? A romantic partner is a romantic partner, but a friendship is like, you know,
Yeah.
is the relationship between a friend versus a romantic partner is different.
Yeah.
So I have a toxic friendship story, but I already did my other story first. So I'll let you tell us your toxic friendship story.
Yeah, so I won't name names since we're not naming names. Also, just, like
Yep.
this person's not my life anymore. I highly doubt they would ever hear this, so I don't think it would matter. And I don't think anybody would know who they are, so I don't think it would matter, but I'm still not gonna name them just out of respect. Anyways, so I had a friend who I met her while I was over in Korea, actually, and we were friends for a couple of months, and we got along because we both like dancing and we like K-pop, and so we were like learning K-pop choreos together, stuff like that. It was fun. It was cool for a while. She was kind of like clingy, like she would always want to hang out. Like we would see each other every single day and like always be around each other, and like I could not get any peace. But like it didn't really bother me at first. If I had homework or if I had something to do, she would always like kind of tell me to like like try to distract me from it. Like I couldn't really get things done when she was around. And then after a bit, I got into this like dance team and she didn't. And so she like when I started like talking about like how it was, or like telling her stories about it, she would always get like upset, and she would be like, I don't really want to talk about it. She's like, I don't want to hear about it. Like she didn't want me to talk about it because she was jealous, so she was kind of like not being supportive. So that was kind of like red flag number 1. I also started going to this other studio, and she couldn't go there because she actually went back to America at the time. And then she like started sending me like videos of her dancing and her singing and asking for my feedback. I was honest with her because like I've never been the kind of person that's like gonna just sugarcoat things for someone. Like I wasn't rude, but like I was just kind of like, oh well, I think you could, work on this and this and this. And like she got mad at me for that. Just progressively over time, like it got worse and worse because like there was a lot of jealousy and like envy in our relationship. Whenever we'd have a conversation, she would make, or like whenever I was upset about something that she had said or done to me, she'd make it about her. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be in this friendship anymore. And I told her, I was like, I don't want to talk to you until you get your shit together, basically, after we had this one fight. We didn't talk for like 6 months. Come holiday season, she like starts messaging me and she's like, oh, I really miss you, like blah blah blah. And I was kind of like, okay, like whatever. So like I asked her how she was doing and stuff like that. She said like that she had changed and all this other stuff, and like me being my young naive self was like, oh, okay, I guess we can be friends again then. I was still a little cautious, but I just wasn't as cautious as I should have been. And then she told me that her family was like gonna send her to a mental institution. And this was after I'd come back to America, right? So we're both in America again. And she lived in Texas or Oklahoma, I think, and I was in Missouri. I was like, okay, girl, I was like, you come live with me. Like, I'll help you out. Paid for her bus ticket so she could come stay with me. And she said she was gonna get a job and she was gonna work and she was gonna get enough money to like live on her own and be independent. She comes and lives with me. She works 10 hours a week, and then she misses half of her shifts because she keeps passing out from malnutrition and going to the hospital for it because she refused to eat anything that like I gave her unless we went out to eat. Like she wanted like to go out and have dinner. And if we didn't go out and have dinner, she wouldn't eat. Like if my grandmother made something at home, she wouldn't want to eat it. And then she spent all of her time like just sitting around doing nothing really. Like I lent her like $1,000, which was like ridiculous because like it was just for living expenses and like traveling and things like that, and food and whatnot. And so I gave her an ultimatum. I was like, you can either stay and get your shit together. You gotta work a full-time job. You gotta
That's too much.
like save your money. You gotta eat at least 2 to 3 times a day, and it can't be McDonald's. You know, like it's gotta be real food. I was like, either that or you can get out and pay me back all the money that you owe me. And she chose to leave and not pay me back all the money that she owed me, not surprisingly. But yeah, I haven't heard from her since. And like to be fair, like I let her because like I was being naive and I was like believing that she was gonna change, you know, and like I wanted to see that she could change. And like I feel like part of me like wanted to influence her in a way. Like I wanted to like save her, and I think that was like my contribution to the relationship that was toxic, because I was enabling her the entire time until the very end where I gave her the ultimatum.
Yeah. Well, I think it's you kind of briefly said something that kind of triggered something for me. This whole idea of you were enabling her to do it, and I think that, and it ties into the self worth too, because I think sometimes people forget to have self worth when it comes to friendships as well, because they may not see a friendship as the same as having a romantic partner. And it is, it's all the same because it's relationships with human beings, period. And when you have a friend who, you know, it's, we were actually, I had this conversation with my brother one day, and he was like, we were talking about like, like when people cheat or whatever, or when people are like rude to their girlfriends or boyfriends. We were just like, it was just having like that kind of conversation, kind of something that we're having now. But he was like, it's this thing of, he's not saying this about like him and his own relationship. He's just saying this like in general. But he was like, this person allowed me to do this to them, so I'm going to keep doing it because they allow me to do it. That's kind of the mindset.
Yeah, we teach people how to treat us.
Yep. And, it's like, this person allowed me to be this way toward them, so I'm going to keep do it. I'm going to keep doing it. And you, with your friends, it was like you allowed her to keep doing these things, and so that's why it kept happening. And with the toxic friendship that I had, and you and I talked about this, and it was the night that Lauren and I were planning a surprise party, and I told you that I was going to go hang out with her, and you were like, what
right?
The fuck?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we were planning your surprise party or whatever, me and Lauren, and I obviously didn't hang out with her. I hadn't talked to her in like 2 weeks, really. But with her, I was like, you know what? She's like one of the first friends I had made in college, and because I met her before I'd known Jill, and it was like she was like one of my first Black friends that I'd made, and I was like, this is really great because she's like a Black girl, she writes, whatever, we're all in the same crew. But it was just every time something happened, it was always on her accord. It was never on mine, or it was at the expense of me. And when Halloween happened last year, or maybe it was 2 Halloweens ago. No, it was last Halloween, when she I told you about the story where she basically left me in the middle of nowhere, and I had to figure out my way to get home. And that was when I knew that she was going to continue to treat me this way unless I put my foot down and was like, no. And so I think when it comes to toxic relationships, you 100%, like you said, you teach people, how to treat you, or whatever it is that you said.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Right. So, and that's really important because people are always be like, have you seen that meme going around where it's the guy shoots someone and he's looking back at the camera, he says, why would they do that? Have you seen that meme?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I have to send it to you. But basically he's this guy, he's got a gun, he shoots this person, and then people always add their own like captions to it. Basically the guy looks back to the camera and he says, well, why would they do that to themselves? Because like they're the one who did it. But it's kind of the same thing where you're like, that person hits you, or not hits you, because I don't want to say that because nobody deserves to be hit, but you know what I mean? Like they do something to you and they're like, well, why would they do that? And it's like, well, you kind of let it happen to you. I know that sounds bad. I don't want to put that in the same realm as like abuse because that's definitely not.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your friends treating you a certain kind of way, you definitely allowed that to happen. Abuse is totally different. I'm not talking about that, just to clarify.
Yeah. I think there's a difference between toxic and abusive. Abusive relationships are toxic, but not all toxic relationships are abusive, if that makes sense. So I think there's like a different
Mm-hmm.
level there, and I wouldn't say that any abusive relationship is the fault of like the person who's victim of that relationship. But toxic relationships, it definitely takes two people, you know? But yeah, as far as
Yeah.
friendships go, I feel like I think it's like, I don't know, it feels, I think when you're younger, it's harder to like identify them, but like when you're older, it feels so easy to like identify toxic relationships. Like you don't trust them. Like they break your trust a lot. Like they're not empathetic to like how you feel. Like they don't genuinely care how if like they upset you, you know? Like it's more about how they feel and like what they want. And so like they kind of just like discredit you a lot, and like they're also just very disrespectful, or like they just take advantage of you and they're self-centered. Like I don't know, I feel like it's easy to identify toxic friendships more so than other types of relationships in my personal experience.
Yeah, especially if you and your friend aren't having sex. Because
Yeah.
sex clouds everything.
It really does. I agree with that.
You'll be like, but it's so good. I just need to be touched. And it's like, yeah, but you getting touched in all the wrong ways because he punching you in your neck. But whatever.
I mean, unless it's consensual punching in the neck.
Right, exactly. So I
Yeah.
want to uh do we have anything else?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I want to go into the owning your part in the toxic
Okay.
relationships. There's a couple of points.
Cool, cool.
So I'm just gonna because there's a couple. When I say couple, there's quite a few. So I'm just gonna go through like a couple because we're already 45 minutes in.
Just take your time.
Yeah. Okay. So it says you intentionally play with your partner's feelings, including trying to make them jealous.
Yeah.
So I'll read the subtext. It says, in a healthy relationship, you don't need to test the other person's feelings or manipulate each other. Instead, the foundation for the relationship should be so solid that there is no need to play mind games.
Sorry.
Then it says,
Sorry,
if you
that one just sounds like something that
then
I
it's,
would do. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's so bad, but like I feel like I'm definitely the type, and it's also because I'm like a Cancer in Venus, if that means anything to anyone. I'm definitely the type that like I will test people just to see if like I will test their loyalty to me. Like I do this even with my friends sometimes, and it's really fucked up, and I try not to, but sometimes I just do it, like especially when I'm in a bad mood. Like I will like try and get somebody to like say or do something in a certain way that reassures me that I can trust them or that they'll be there for me, and like you shouldn't have to do that. So it made me laugh because I was like, I would totally do something like that.
yeah, yeah. In the last little section, it says, if you feel the need to test your partner or make them jealous on purpose, either they've done something to harm your trust or you have an unhealthy need for
Affirmation. Yep,
affirmation.
that's me. I have an unhealthy need for affirmation.
So another one says is you're passive aggressive.
Yeah, that's me too.
It says we're all passive aggressive. We are all passive aggressive at times. But if you often act mad at your partner while refusing to tell them why you're upset or frequently give them the silent treatment, you're engaging in unhealthy communication.
Okay, I don't do that though. So, at least I'm not that bad.
Another one says is you withhold affection or compliments. It says, or you make affection conditional on your partner being exactly the way that you want them to be, or rather being themselves. While you never while you never have to be affectionate with someone when you don't want to be, using affection as a bargaining chip to get what you want in a relationship causes toxic atmosphere for
Yep,
both
yep,
partners.
I see that one 100%.
Oh no, that was it. They only had three.
That's it?
Yeah, they only have three, and then the other one it says how to move forward. It says get therapy.
Wait, what's it say?
That's get therapy. It says how to change this. Get therapy
Get
is number
therapy. Oh my god.
one. But so yeah, those are the three. But I think those are really three strong points.
Yeah,
though.
that is 100%.
My other list though is 15 signs of a toxic relationship. And depending on what the points are, I'll read the subtext because all of them have subtext and they're quite long. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, yeah.
So number one says it feels bad all the time. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And that's 100%. And that can go, I think, now that I'm kind of looking through this list, this definitely goes for all relationships, not just romantic ones. Number two says you're constantly braced for the gotcha.
Ooh.
So basically you're just waiting for something bad to happen.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's like battered woman right there.
Yeah. No, I've definitely felt that one before. Like not with like any romantic interest, but like friendships. I've been like I felt really uneasy around certain people for like a given amount of time, like waiting for the ball to drop. And then like something happens and I'm like, yep, saw that coming, you know? So, ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Number three, you avoid saying what you need because there's just no point.
Yeah, that one's...
I felt that one. Especially on the list, it says validation, appreciation, sex, love, affection, blah, blah, blah. I felt that one. Number four, there's no effort.
What do you mean by no effort?
Okay, so this subtext is not as long, so I'll read this one. It says, standing on the dance room floor doesn't make you a dancer. And being physically present in a situation doesn't mean there is an investment being made in that relationship. Boom, I just had that situation happen 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I told you about that.
Yep.
Doing things separately sometimes is healthy, but as with all healthy things, too much is too much. When there is no effort to love you, spend time with you, share the things that are important to you, the relationship stops giving and starts taking too much. There comes a point that the only way to respond to, well, I'm here, aren't I, is, yeah, but maybe it'd be better if you weren't.
Oh, shit.
Ooh.
That's fucked up.
I know.
That kind of hurts. I'm like, ooh, I hope I never have to experience that.
I know. That's a wolf. That's definitely a wolf moment. Number five, all the work, love, compromise comes from you.
Yeah. It's one-sided.
Number six, when no is a dirty word.
Oh.
Should I read that one or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
No is an important word in any relationship. Don't strike it from your vocabulary, even in the name of love. Especially not in the name of love. I kind of read that weird. But anyway, healthy relationships need compromise, but they also respect the needs and wants of both people. Communicating what you want is as important for you and the relationship as communicating what you don't want. Find your no, give it a polish, and know where the release button is. A loving partner will respect that you're not going to agree with everything they say or do. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my throat got really dry. If you're only accepted when you're saying yes, it's probably time to say no to the relationship. Oh. And if you're worried about the gap you're leaving, buy your soon-to-be next ex some putty.
Oh, God.
Problem solved. Whoever wrote this is super petty. I love it. But I like that one, though.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Number seven, the scorecard. Let me show you how wrong you are.
Oh, so like if somebody's like trying to like, if like they don't agree with you, they're kind of like, oh, I'm gonna show you how wrong you are, and like that's yeah. Because like the need to be right, you know what I mean?
It says having shots continually fired at you based on history is a way to control, shame, or manipulate.
Oh, yeah, that was more than what I was thinking it was, but yeah, definitely.
Number eight, there is a battle and you're the only one in it. Again.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
It is. This is all very sad.
Number nine, physical or verbal abuse or both. These are deal breakers. Get the F out.
Yeah.
Number 10, way too much passive aggressive. Yeah, we talked about that. Number 11, nothing gets resolved. Number 12, whatever you're going through, I'm going through worse. Oh,
Oh no.
whap
Fuck
whap.
them.
There's always, oh
Fuck
my god,
them.
I can't tell you how many times that the friend that I would mention who like left me in the wilderness during Halloween, I can't tell you how many times I've heard I'm just going through a lot right now and you
Dude,
don't get
that's
it.
so stupid. I'm like, just because, like, you may be going through X, Y, or Z does not mean that my problems are not valid. So, actually, I'll make this really quick. But I had a friend, so in high school, she was sexually abused by her boyfriend. She was going through a lot of shit, but, like, our friendship turned really toxic because it's like any time that we had an issue, she would be like, well, I was sexually abused by my boyfriend. And it would like interfere with our friendship, and she would invalidate everything that I was feeling all the time about our friendship, and she'd use that as like a crutch to be a bad friend to me. And so it was just like really bad. And so like that one I definitely relate to for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The next one says privacy. What privacy? So basically, it says if your partner constantly goes through your receipts, phone bills, text messages, this shows a toxic level
Yeah,
of
nah.
control. So
Yeah.
that's really bad. Number 14, the lies. Oh, the
Oh
lies.
god. Don't lie.
Lying, cheating.
That shit's fucked up.
Lastly, the big decisions are for important people, and you're clearly not one of them. Damn.
Oh shit. Yeah, like when the partner like wants to make decisions without you, but like you in a relationship, so your decisions affect both of you. That's fucked up.
So that's the last of that
Damn.
article. But yeah, that's crazy. That's really fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do this thing without you, so who
Yeah,
cares?
you know, toxic relationships period are fucked up. So oh god. Yeah.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty
Nah.
bad.
Yeah, I definitely feel like a lot of this stuff, I don't know, at least to me, it seems straightforward, but I've also had a lot of experience with toxic relationships. I think once you're in them, especially like when you're not experienced with being in them, like it can be hard to identify that stuff though. But like at least for me,
Yeah.
it seems like quite straightforward now, but like I've also been through a lot of toxic relationships and I've learned from that. So,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and it sucks too because it definitely kind of breaks down your trust. And I've seen so many people talk about how they say, don't carry your like last relationship into your new one. Like don't try to carry those same traits. But it is
mhm.
really hard when you especially like maybe if you were abused and you go to someone else and you like expect to be abused again, or if you had a friend who's shitty, then you expect your next friend to be shitty, or maybe the way that that friend or that
Yeah.
boyfriend or girlfriend treated you, now you're going to treat someone else, and that's not fair because
And a lot of times it can be self-fulfilling as
yeah.
well. Like if you continue to believe that that pattern's going to repeat itself, it will repeat itself. But also like for example, again, not mentioning names, but like the person that I'm seeing right now, his past relationships were really messed up. He has a lot of issues with trusting people and a lot of issues with like being comfortable with intimacy, and has like this feeling that like intimacy equates like a lack of freedom. And so like I'm very empathetic to it, but like you also have to understand if you genuinely want to be in a relationship, like you have to take that risk sometimes.
Right.
Even for me, like I've been hurt like so many times by a lot of people, and it's like broken down my trust, and I've become a lot more weary about like the world and about people, and like very cautious. But like at the same time, I have to understand that just because one person did something to me doesn't mean every person in my life is going to continue to do that to me. For example, like ghosting. I've had so many people ghost me, and I feel so betrayed every time it happens. But like just because some people have done that doesn't mean every person in my life is going to do that. I think that's like one reason why like for example, that like I'm afraid of like causing conflict or getting into fights with people. I worry that if I like have an argument with someone, or like if I get in a fight with someone, or if we disagree, that they're just gonna disappear on me and they're gonna leave. That like translates a lot into my current relationships and like why
Right.
I behave in the way I do a lot of the times. And so like you have to be very mindful, I think. But at the same time, you have to learn to like yes, be cautious and understand, like learn from your experiences, but don't expect that every single person you come across is going to be the same. Just use it as a filter to find better people to include in your life rather than sticking with the type of people who are going to treat you that way.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I don't think I could I feel like I can say something, but it's just gonna be the same
I
thing you
summed it up
said.
perfectly. What can I say?
But just different, worded differently. But so I do have a quote to end this podcast, and this one I think is really nice. And it says, "Remove yourself from people who treat you like your time doesn't matter, like your feelings are worthless, or like your soul is replaceable." And that is by S. McNutt. I like it a
I
lot.
like it
I
a
like it a
lot.
lot.